For the first time today, lawmakers will hear from a diplomat directly involved in U.S. activities with Ukraine as Democrats push forward with the impeachment inquiry. The State Department's former special envoy to Ukraine, his name is Kurt Volker. He's set to testify on Capitol Hill. He was mentioned several times in the whistleblower's complaint, which sparked this inquiry. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill. The interview is expected to happen, however, behind closed doors, though I think many of us would really be curious about what he has to say.
We really would, Anne-Marie, but we'll have to rely on whatever dribbles out from that interview afterwards from lawmakers and congressional investigators. The reason that they want to hear from Volker in particular is because, A, they want to know why he suddenly, unexpectedly resigned as special envoy to Ukraine last week, and B, they think that he can help them understand just how much assistance the State Department was giving the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, as he peddled conspiracy theories about the Bidens in Ukraine.
I don't know why Kurt resigned.
A source close to Volker says he resigned last week so he can testify today, unrestrained by State Department rules. According to the whistleblower's report, Volker sought to help Ukrainian leaders understand the differing messages they were receiving from official U.S. channels on the one hand and Giuliani on the other.
We're not fooling around here, though.
Democrats fired another warning shot at the White House Wednesday, drafting a subpoena after the White House did not produce any documents requested a month ago and did not even acknowledge receipt of the request. Similar subpoenas have already been sent to the State Department and the president's personal lawyer.
I take this to be a very sad time for the American people, for our country.
Nancy Pelosi hands out subpoenas like, she has to approve it. She hands out subpoenas like they're cookies. You want a subpoena? Here you go, take them like they're cookies.
Is it possible that you're making too much of one phone call?
Absolutely not. I want to yield to you.
It's hard to imagine a set of circumstances that would have alarmed the founders more than what's on that call, where you have a president using the full power of his office to try to effectively coerce a foreign leader.
Pelosi acknowledged impeachment is divisive. A CBS News poll found that 58% of Americans think Congress will be too distracted to work on other issues once impeachment hearings begin. Democrats from swing districts are getting questions about that at home.
I've been asked over and over whether this is the end of my political career, and at a certain point, you just can't do things based on political calculus.
Okay, Nancy, let us talk about the testimony that is expected today from the U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine. How crucial is this testimony? And you talked about Democrats wanting to know why he abruptly quit. Do we have any inkling as to why that was?
Well, sources close to him say that he knew that he was going to be undergoing this deposition by members of Congress and their lawyers, and he wanted to be able to be very candid with them. He didn't want the State Department trying to put any restrictions on what he could and couldn't say, and so he decided to step down. But Democrats want to know if there's something more. They want to know if he or the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine were pressured into helping Giuliani and or penalized if they didn't, because the case that Democrats are trying to make here is that the president used every lever of power available to him in his government to help Rudy Giuliani, his personal lawyer, make a personal campaign request on his behalf in Ukraine. And furthermore, that it got so confusing for the Ukrainians who were getting one message officially from the State Department and another message from Rudy Giuliani that Volker had to end up basically being an interpreter for the Ukrainians and explaining to them just how much they had to go along with what Rudy Giuliani was saying as far as investigating Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden. So those are the kinds of things that they want to ask Volker about. They've got another deposition set up about a week from now with the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, who herself was recalled a couple of months early. They want to know more about that situation as well.
So speaking about Mr. Giuliani, the State Department Inspector General briefed lawmakers yesterday on material related to the U.S.-Ukraine relations, but some Democrats and congressional aides we're sort of concerned about the quality of the information, in particular information that might have been provided by Rudy Giuliani. Can you give us more about that?
Anne-Marie, this was a really bizarre situation, I have to tell you. The State Department's Inspector General came here to Capitol Hill. He briefed top staffers from key committees, and when they came out of that briefing, they were all somewhat mystified and confused. They said that the IG had handed them this packet of propaganda and ramblings about Ukraine conspiracy theories and the former U.S. ambassador and the Bidens. And he told those staffers that he didn't know where this packet had come from, but that he felt he should hand it over because it said that it had come from the White House and that it had been sitting at the State Department for many months. It had been sent to the Secretary of State, but given the circumstances and how much Ukraine was now in the spotlight, he felt that he should hand it over. So everyone was a little confused about why he would feel that this was so important that he needed to come to Congress and brief these staffers behind closed doors. It sort of seemed like this was a packet of nonsense that could have been sent by anybody. But then a few hours later, Rudy Giuliani confirms that actually he compiled a lot of that information, and he's the one who sent it to the Secretary of State, and that he was promised that the State Department would investigate. And so yet again, it's an indication that the State Department was either promising to use official resources to investigate some of these conspiracy theories, or actually did so. And it also raises serious questions about Giuliani, who claims that this was a brilliant prosecutorial packet that he had sent the State Department, but both Democratic and Republican staffers we spoke to said that some of it was incoherent and untrue, and it was rambling, and so it doesn't look like the typical investigative packet you might expect to see from a top attorney.
Every day, another bizarre turn, Nancy. Thank you for giving us some clarity.
You're welcome. I tried.
All right, so if you want to stay up to date on the latest from this impeachment inquiry, just head to our website. Go to cbsnews.com/impeachment.